Hello and welcome back to the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. I am Gillyweed, and joining me now is Anna Prosser Robinson as my next co-caster for the evening. Hello, Anna.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hi guys, missed you all.
Yes, we missed you too, and sorry about the technical delays, guys. We were trying to get Anna in the call. That's the about million Skype sounds that you happen to hear throughout. So we're hopeful that it's going to work for now, but we will. Well, I guess we'll keep you up to date as, you'll be able to tell if a call drops.
Yes, if my PC decides to randomly turn off again, you will know because I will disappear and you will no longer hear me.
It's a really effective means of communicating that, actually. So good job on
Yeah,
that.
computers are advanced these days in how they communicate with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while we are awaiting that, we are in the draft. So I'm going to switch over to that and then send you the link, unless I send it to you already. I don't think I did. Oh, there we go. So we are in Game 2 out of a best of 3. It's between Fraud eSports and Lzuruha Gaming. Fraud has chosen to go first pick, first ban, and we are on Cursed Hollow. So Fraud has banned the Illidan, and Lzuruha chose to ban the Lost Vikings. We saw Lost Vikings in one game, but what do you think of this? Oh, this link might have messed up. Oh, nope, it's still going.
Cool. Yeah, the Lost Vikings ban, I don't know too much about Fraud eSports, but a lot of times that's directly related to a player who can play great Lost Vikings. Cursed Hollow is a good place to have people that can be soaking in lanes while the rest of your team is busy fighting. So certainly it's a strong hero on this map, but if you don't have a good hero or a good player to play it, it's not something that I would immediately look for as a first ban. But, not completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Illidan ban. Illidan does all sorts of damage and is all sorts of annoying, so nobody wants to play against him. That makes total sense to me. Then we saw first pick Vala, super solid, and then Jaina Zagara first pick for Lzuruha. Am I saying it correctly?
Lzuruha. Yeah, really interesting. A lot of times we see when you've got a first pick situation, the first pick, of course, is one hero only. A lot of times you'll see a Jaina picked up there, but no, picking the Vala for, she's got a little bit more of an escape, and she's, been in the meta a bit longer than Jaina has in terms of her staying as a good damage dealer. But Lzuruha choosing to pick up both Jaina and Zagara. Zagara is so good on this map. Zagara is good on every map right now. She's amazing, as is Jaina. And both of them are going to have some serious damage potential for Lzuruha.
Yeah, interesting that then Fraud goes ahead and picks up ETC, so they really want to lock down their tank. And right now, we don't see a lot of tanks other than ETC and Diablo. So a lot of times we'll see teams saying, okay, I want to have ETC, not Diablo, so I'm going to go ahead and pick now, as there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in between the two. So that's cool. I don't know if we'll see Lzuruha pick out their tank in order to hide their future picks, or whether they will leave their tank for later now that they know that Fraud probably isn't going to pick up a tank. We also saw Uther go down for Fraud, which is cool because then Uther can be kind of a healer with a little bit of tanky properties. So right now they've got a really tanky, damage-capable build going that looks pretty standard, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Super standard so far. And keeping up with the meta on both sides for these teams, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Diablo Tyrande from Lzuruha, because we've seen the potential that having those two together can bring. And on top of that, a Maw into Apocalypse is really cool too. So I'm not sure why this draft keeps saying the teams are offline, but they're still drafting, guys. Don't worry. And Lzuruha is going to pick up Rhaegar first. They really want to secure their main healer and make sure that they just have enough sustainability. Rhaegar throws out a ton of great heals, and that'll be really important as Jaina is very squishy, of course. And they have one more pick here before Fraud will get to grab their last two heroes.
Yeah, do you think we're going to be seeing you mentioned Diablo Tyrande combo, which of course, like you said, is really, really strong. Do you think we're going to be seeing a 0.5 support coming out of Lzuruha? Because if they indicate by having Tyrande now, then they probably won't be in danger of losing Diablo in their last pick, so they could still go for that, I suppose. But they may, I don't know, do you think they want to fill any other holes in their composition?
I actually, with picking up Rhaegar, we could see Toronto, but I actually think that they might not and go for 3 damage dealers. And it might be Sylvanas here. Sometimes it messes up. Oh no, it is Diablo. So they are going to pick up their tank and leave the last one up a bit. They've got some potential in picking this way to counter whatever Fraud's going to pick here for their last 2 heroes. They can leave it up and say, okay, we're going to need more damage. Let's go ahead and grab this. Or we're going to need a little more sustainability. Let's get another healer, or at least a Tyrande. And so, like you said, or I think you said this, but grabbing the tank earlier on to kind of hide what they're planning on doing, or at least be able to counter later on.
Yeah, that gives them a lot of flexibility with that last pick in case they see something surprising come out of Fraud, then they can adjust accordingly, which I think is a good strategy here because, giving yourself a little bit of flexibility in a draft is never a bad thing. Now, Fraud taking their time, they have a tanky support, a tank, and a damage dealer. Ooh, they're going to add another damage dealer in Tychus. So far, these are like just the familiar faces of Heroes of the Storm. Tychus, of course, does great damage. Alongside Vala can be a really strong brother-sisterhood. And then I guess what we will see here last is kind of going to determine what type of composition Fraud Esports is really going for. If we see a secondary half support, whether we see another damage dealer, what do you think we're going to see here?
Man, it's difficult to say. Sometimes I just want to have... I kind of miss the old one because I could just look down and see what all the heroes were.
Left.
What types of heroes were left. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sylvanas still from either team. She's not banned, and Sylvanas' hero trait is basically like a mini curse. So it enables you to take down structures so that once you're cursed, or once you grab a curse and throw it on the other team, then you already have some like towers down. Maybe the tower's in a gate and you can push right into the fort, that type of thing. So I would not be surprised to see a Sylvanas here. I feel like we see her quite a bit in this series and then also on this map. Let's see. They could maybe go for like a Tassadar to make sure that they have some good vision, but I feel like we have been seeing Tassadar yet less lately. So I'm not really sure what Fraud's thinking here. I think that they're definitely thinking, well, they did decide to go for Malfurion, so they really want a lot of sustainability.
Well, and they've also got some really interesting capability for crowd control here and stunning with the burst from Tychus and Vala. So my thought was I would love another damage dealer there, considering that we have Uther's stun as well as ETC if he decides to use Mosh Pit. That I would love to have even more damage to just take advantage of those things. But it looks like they're going to go for Malfurion, so they are going to have a huge amount of sustain, and then Malfurion can also root. So if you fall into the claws of Fraud Esports, you are not going to get out easily.
Yeah, for sure. There's also the capability, of like, we typically see a Divine Shield, but if we were to get a Divine Storm here, you could have a Mosh Pit with a Divine Storm, so building off of that with the root potential as well. So a lot of potential to stack those heroics and get multiple stuns and roots so that while they're standing there possibly dancing or just stunned and confused because they danced too much and now we're hit by a Divine Storm, Tychus and Vala can be throwing lots of projectiles into their faces.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked a lot about dual support play, and we rarely see Malfurion and Uther as they're kind of what we would consider those full supports together. We usually see one of the kind of half supports, as we call them, the Sapassins, like Tyrande or Tassadar, paired with a full-on healer. So interesting to see both of them together, and then there's your Sylvanas that you called for.
Yes, the best feeling!
I like that decision from Lzuruha Gaming because they're gonna have a huge amount of damage coming out of Jaina and Sylvanas, and then Zagara is gonna be kind of the cherry on top, the Baneling cherry on top to all of that damage dealing. Although what they don't have as much as Fraud has is that ability to hold somebody in place. They do have Diablo who can really make a mess of your positioning if he wants to, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to hold somebody down while they punch them in the face.
Yeah, nobody really to capitalize on the overpower as much. You can maybe throw down a totem and slow them down a bit, or hit them with a couple Jaina spells, and that'll slow them too with her chill, but That's they're not going to be really, I think, capitalizing as much on the overpower as they might have with the Tyrande pick, but I do love the idea that with Sylvanas, Zagara, and Jaina, all of them dealing a lot of siege damage on structures. Jaina can now throw chill on targets, which means they're going to take more damage from her. Of course, Zagara can throw out banelings, which deal splash damage, and besides the fact that she just does a lot of damage to structures, have a lot of siege potential with her minions. And then, of course, Sylvanas stopping those structures from being able to attack those minions or other minions or mercenaries pushing. They're going to be... We're going to see a lot of pushing from them on lanes. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. And pushing lanes is an important thing to do when you want to win a game of Heroes. So let's run down our teams here.
All right, well, on the blue side, once again, we have Fraud eSports with Kiefer's on the ETC, Lex Uther on the Malfurion, Hal playing the actual Uther, Anxiety Law playing Vala, and Bella Morte with the Infested Tychus.
And I'm having a little trouble with my controls, so do you mind introducing the other team while I get this fixed?
Not a problem. We've got Lzuruha Gaming. They are one up in this series with Pyrat Rum playing the Jaina, Spurbeck on the Diablo, Maid playing Rhaegar, Evan Durinde on the Sylvanas, and finally Jay Kerps rocking out the Zagara with the matching flying carpet. Style points going to Jay Kerps right here. Goodness. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Quite the style points here.
Snazzy.
I know, right?
Well, we see that we've got 3 from Lzuruha Gaming down here in the bottom lane, and we've got 4 from Fraud Esports taking on the mid lane, really trying to kind of make an early dent, while 2 from Fraud Esports are in the top, though it looks like Anxiety Lull is going to head down mid, or perhaps down bot.
Yeah, they've seen that Lzuruha has chosen to make the party lane in bot, and of course you have to answer versus that. Zagara and Sylvanas together, you gotta answer versus that always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not a situation you can just say, we'll go ahead and ignore that, because you will be you will be down in structures very, very quickly. We also see this creep spread going down immediately from Zagara, really important for her mobility and then also for vision. So we'll probably see that extending throughout the map as well in order to keep an eye on where all those tributes are and where the opposing team is.
Yeah, and we do see Vala picking up multi-shot, most likely going for the multi-shot build, and that will be really important. A good choice here actually to have Vala laning versus the Zagara, because that will help keep that creep spread at bay. It's pretty easy to throw out the multi-shot and take out the tumors, as it is to take them out with the Moonfire as well from Malfurion.
Absolutely. Sorry, still making some adjustments here. It has been one of those computer days. I apologize.
No worries at all. So far, it doesn't really look like any kills, and the push actually is favoring Fraud just a bit here. Just doing a great job of pushing back that creep as much as possible. It looks like Diablo was taking a bit of damage from Uther actually, so we're gonna go hit up the well. For the most part, just very normal laning phase as we head into the first tribute.
Yeah, very even trading here, and a lot of times that's what happens in good Heroes of the Storm games. Both teams defending and attacking at exactly the same pace, trying to get experience, and both of them being level 4 now. Going to take some talents. We're seeing anything interesting here on the talents yet, Gilly?
Well, Jaina was kind of making up her mind there between a couple of different talents at level 4. Of course, she does have the capability of picking up Envenom, which they could stack with that Sylvanas, but choosing instead to grab Arcane Intellect, also a really good choice if you're going to need to be laning and for long periods of time, or just want to make sure you have sustainability for long fights, which is also definitely a possibility when you're facing a team with 2 supports. Then making sure that you have enough mana for that can definitely not hurt. So that's what they're going to go for there. Otherwise, very, very standard, like I said before, multi-shot build for the Vala as well.
We do see the first tribute spawning, and we've got 3 members of each team here. We'll see if they do choose to engage or wait for their teammates. Looks like Jay Kerps is going to try to start channeling it, thinking that maybe Lzuruha Gaming has the advantage in terms of positioning here, but I don't see a clear winner. Looks like we're going to get more members of Fraud Gaming coming down and pushing, so it is a 4v3, although Anxiety Lull is getting very, very low and will go down.
Oh, Evan with a very, very aggressive Banshees somehow Mate is still able to keep that very squishy Sylvanas alive, and they do pick up the Volley kill thanks to those Banshees. That might be the first time in the history of like ever that I've seen the Banshees used to body block with Sylvanas, because that's never something you really want to do with somebody who's super squishy, but making it work here, that was pretty cool, a pretty cool play.
I mean, it's all about trading, right? You have these little these hit points, and if you trade them effectively, you can go down to a very sliver of health and still get the job done if you can retreat fast enough. So very well done there.
And that one kill has helped Lzuruha secure their level 7 talents just a little bit before. No issue here, though. Fraud's going to have theirs as well by the time we go into the next talent tribute phase, which should be very soon.
Yeah, and we're seeing both teams being very conscious of soaking experience, so that level difference is not staying wide. They're both gaining and going to be taking their talents. I'm interested to see what kind of heroics we're going to see at level 10 here, because Stage Dive can be really effective on this map, being able to provide global mobility for keepers on ETC. We also mentioned that we're not sure what heroic we're going to see out of Hunwen on Uther. Do you have any predictions on those?
Whew, sorry, I was watching Vala almost die and then not. And it was just it took all of my energy there.
Alright, I understand.
As far as heroics, I don't know. A lot of times we see Divine Shield so often now, and you would think that maybe that would be the case, but I could definitely see, like I said before, something being made with a Mosh Pit and a Divine Storm trying to go for some sort of wombo. Lzuruha is going to pick up this tribute. That's 2 for them. They're able to zone really effectively. Thankfully for them, it was on their side, of course, too, so that also helped out a little bit. Jane has not really had to leave that lane, and that's really helped them continue to keep up their soak. Diablo came down but is already right back up, and they're doing a really good job of keeping rotations going, but making sure that they get all the soak they can before they leave the lanes.
Yeah, and I think that was also a smart move in terms of Fraud Esports coming in and saying, this engagement just doesn't look exactly favorable for us. And that is a huge indicator of a team that knows what they're doing and is going to be able to come out on top, because sometimes you feel if you're, just barely a level behind, like you have to engage, you have to get a kill, but you don't. You've got to take only the engagements that are going to help you the most. So good job them as well. The next tribute spawning top, we'll see who runs for it, because Fraud is going to have to if they don't want to be cursed.
Yeah, and really interesting here, neither team is level 10. Lzuruha is almost there, though, and I think they're going to let Fraud maybe pick this up. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They really wanted to get 10. They knew that they would have had to really leave bottom, where Sylvanas is doing a great job sieging. She's actually taken out 1 tower now and about to grab the other, so they know that they could definitely just give that one up and just favor pushing a little bit here. But up top, Fraud is doing the same thing.
Yeah, Spearbeck actually did go down. They managed to get Diablo out of position and melt him down, so they're happy to grab their first little kill there as well.
Nice. Well, Sylvanas is stopping well, they were going to attack the fort, but now they see that their bruisers are under attack with Spearbeck not being there, though. They're trying to get away. Oh no, J-Curb's a bit out of position on creep, which does increase the movement speed. Going to throw some banelings down, which will help. That choke actually is a really good spot to not only mob, but also to be able to escape through, because you can throw those banelings in. Both teams do have their heroics now. Lzuruha, if they pick up this tribute, will curse Fraud, but Fraud will need another 2 before they'll be able to pick up a curse.
Yeah, and speaking of heroics, we do see that Uther does go for Divine Shield. We see from ETC, we do see Stage Dive. So interesting, we were talking about the root potential of this team. So the root is going to be all on Malfury, and ETC is not going to be using that Mosh Pit to keep people in place.
Devouring Maw picks up 2 heroes. They are out, though, but because Keepers is so far ahead, almost gets burned down, but a great Divine Shield will save the day, enabling them to take out Sylvanas first before and Rhaegar, actually, before the ETC will go down. So now 2 heroes down on the side of Lzuruha Gaming, everyone else getting very, very low, and a quick Zagara Jaina kill will also mean that only Spearbeck is alive here. That's a 4-4-2 trade in favor of Fraud Esports, and they are very happy with that engagement, as they also even picked up the tribute. Icing on the cake.
Yeah, and there was a really great positioning on that healing ward there, and I think the fact that they've got two really strong healers on their team is starting to really show itself here. With Jaina alive and two people to heal her, that's still a very strong force to contend with.
Yeah, we actually saw all of the heroics used there except for Stage Dive and the Odin. And speaking of the heroics, we see that Fraud Esports has picked up Odin, Tranquility, Strafe, Divine Shield, and Stage Dive, whereas Lzuruha has picked up the Ancestral Healing, Water Elemental, Wailing Arrow, Devouring Maw, and Apocalypse. So they are going for maybe that Maw and Apocalypse combination.
I love that one. But the timing can be tough, so they've got to coordinate really well and use whatever communication tools they have at hand. We see Lzuruha going for this boss. All 5 of them are going to convene here, so they're really making sure that they're careful in terms of being ambushed. And they're going to head back down toward the mid lane, do a little bit of defense on this mid wall, which already has gone down at the behest of Fraud Esports.
I think I might have been a little confused about which team was on which side for that last team fight, but that's okay, we're good now. And actually, Kiefer's pushing Zagara into that root from Malfurion. Lex Luthor threw down in a perfect position, proving that, hey, you don't need a Diablo to throw somebody in a root, just, you know, shove them over a little bit. It works the same way. And they were able to burn Zagara down so fast, the damage from them was unreal, that they were able to pick up that Zagara kill, and it's actually going to be Fraud who's going to get the first curse.
Wow. What a turnaround, as we saw the first 2 tributes decidedly go to Lzuruha Gaming. But again, the Fraud was really picking and choosing their engagements, and they chose correctly. At this point, they've got a curse going. There is a boss pushing on Fraud Esports top, though, so they've got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Kiefer's is there to try to deal with it. Of course, he's got Stage Dive, so at any point he could jump back in, but his team's starting to back off a little bit now as well. They've gone ahead and picked up 2 forts here during this curse, and that's really great. They can definitely be happy with that. The next tribute phases will be interesting, as at any point Fraud is forced to go to the tributes because Lzuruha is at 2 out of 3. So we'll probably see them, you know, trying to force fights and stuff before trying to make it so they can't really pick up a curse at all. Otherwise, it could undo all of the work that they've done throughout, which is pick up all 3 forts here.
Yeah, I think that Fraud is really wanting to put Lzuruha on the defensive, because their team, like we talked about, is such a great pushing team, and that's what they've really got going for them. But if they're constantly having to deal with things that are pushing on their base, they're never going to be able to use that pushing potential. And so far, it looks like the momentum is carrying the teams in that direction. Fraud is really making sure that all the action stays away from their walls, and it looks like Lzuruha Gaming knows that. They're going to look for an opportunity here to push for themselves, maybe stealing this Bruiser camp here.
Yeah, they're here, but Kiefer sees it, of course, and now it's just a matter of the rest of his teammates getting back in here. They are doing so, but not quite soon enough to be able to pick it up. Spurbeck is going to be perfectly in front, and this is quite a bit of a choke to try to engage into. Wailing Arrow is going to silence a whole bunch of people, and actually, I'm surprised that Maw did not pick up more, but oh, wow. Just an amazing cleanse is going to ensure that they did not trap the Tychus in that Apocalypse. Now Stage Dive is down. He's trying to jump back in. They've slowed down Sylvanas. They've stopped her. They really would like to catch Maid, but those rocks saving him just a little bit. And the rest of them should be able to get away. But man, that cleanse from Uther was amazing.
And just look at how much green is in the health bars of Fraud Esports. That's really a testament to this super healer comp that they've got going on, because there were so many things also that Lzuruha did right, so many awesome plays that they made, but they don't have the capacity to come back from deep wounds like Fraud does, and at this point we've got a healthy 5 roaming around while Lzuruha is limping a little bit.
Man, I just loved that engagement. Would have been so perfect. I mean, yeah, they only grabbed 1 person in the Maw, but they had the Apocalypse right after it. It was perfectly timed. There was like 4 different Apocalypse like circles that Tychus needed to run through. There was no way that he was going to safely get through, but man, such a clutch cleanse there. Made sure that he could get out. The Odin could get right back into the back and start dealing a lot of damage, and they really turned that engagement around. It's crazy how one perfectly timed spell can really just turn a battle like that. And now they've got level 16 talents and a tribute spawning.
Yeah, although it does have the rocks kind of in position to help out Lzuruha Gaming, although Lzuruha not really taking advantage of that, as they've got their party a little split, and we all know never to split the party. skilly.
Yeah, we know. The party is split, and Spurbeck and Evan are just going to back up. They do not want to chance stealing it when the rest of their team is going to have to go all the way around. So now their team is caught back up. There goes the Odin. Bella is ready for battle. J. Kurtz is up front quite a bit, and there goes ETC jumping in. Oh my goodness. J. Kurtz wants just to get away and throw out some banelings, and there is an Apocalypse that follows the Maw. Doesn't really catch too many people. Everyone's kind of stuck in that little rock outcropping though, and Zagara's going to be the first one to go down. Malfurion will follow, as does Sylvanas. And it's still in favor of Fraud Esports. They would like to chase down this Rhaegar. That's what Vala is doing, but a good shield on him is going to protect him from falling. And they will pick up the tribute, and oh, now they're back, and it's 1 versus 3. My bad. I thought they was back to 2 versus 2.
Yeah, just 1 versus 2 on these tributes, so Lzuruha Gaming not in immediate danger of a curse, but certainly would have liked to take that tribute for themselves. Now they've got 2 team members down, and they're watching as Fraud takes their boss, not being able to do a whole lot about it, wishing that they can pick someone out of position. Spurbeck may be going in for an overpower or to try to steal the boss. They are going to engage on this, but I don't think it's going to end too well for them.
Yeah, Spurbeck actually threw, I'm not sure, it threw one of them back in, was like, okay, fine, have this, just let me escape, please. And he did get out. Was like, okay, you can have the boss, let me have my life.
Take my lunch money, let me go home. Poor Diablo. And now we've got a boss pushing on top for Lzuruha Gaming, which again puts them on the defense, not allowing them to use these very push-capable traits that we know they have.
Yeah, they are definitely on the back foot here, and there's another boss up as well. Fraud taking the time to go ahead and take it out. A tribute is spawning, and it's far away from them. I'm guessing that we might even see a stage dive up to it to stop Lzuruha from taking it, but we'll have to see. They are there now. They're starting to take it. Will ETC jump in, or will they let them have the curse? There is the jump. There he goes. Now Keepers is quite away from his team members. He's going to try to stay alive, but will go down. It's a lot of damage from Jaina. Now his team doesn't have a tank, so they're going to have to be careful. They're throwing quite a bit of damage. Odin is the only thing that gets mod this time. But we do see another Apocalypse, and he will get caught in it, as will Lex Uther, who does have Tranquility down. But in the midst of all that, Lzuruha has picked up their curse. They've finally gotten one, and there's only going to be 3 heroes up, actually, to defend.
Yeah, that was a great engagement for Lzuruha Gaming. We saw ETC dove in at the latest possible moment that he could, but even then did not have the support he needed to not be completely melted down by all 5 team members who were waiting there for him. And then that Maw actually really was a decisive moment as they went from 4 to 3 members against 5. And 3v5 is never something that you really want to put yourself in a position for. Really just methodically taken down by Lzuruha, and probably with a little bit of help from the luck that Fraud Esports was so far from the tribute. Although it wasn't all luck that Fraud made the decision to stay and do the boss instead of running up to prevent this curse. So maybe they felt like they could withstand a curse at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they knew that they would have to, that their opponents would have to deal with that golem pushing, and they did. The golem was almost at the keep by the time they finally got back to defend it, and so they went their first thing with the curse. Now the curse is over. They still even have a fort up left, whereas their opponents don't have any. So yeah, I think that they felt they were fine. Maybe if they could possibly get up there in time, they made it work, but they were ahead enough at least that they could risk taking the golem and then follow that up with Keepers jumping in.
Looks like we may see some positioning for yet another team fight. Fraud not being in quite the position they want, but falling back here. Both teams being a little hesitant to engage until they find just the right moment.
Yeah. Spurbeck would ideally like to throw someone back into his team that they can burn down really quickly. ETC is not primed for that. Obviously, he's got a little bit of an escape, and then, of course, he's just, you know, ETC. And so they're taking their time too, because they know where the levels are at. They know that if Fraud were to pick up a kill right now in a team fight, they would easily have level 20, and that's going to make it very difficult, because not only would it be 4 over 5, but you're engaging into a talent tier above you. So I think what we're going to see, they're going to try to push lanes as much as possible. They've got a little bit of time since the curse is now, there was just a curse, so they're going to just push lanes, try to get to level 20, which is where Fraud is now at.
Yeah, and at this point, if they could have engaged before and looked for a pick, they probably shouldn't now. Like you said, trying to engage on level 20 talents when you're level 19 is not preferable, although, again, they're not so far behind in levels that this is something that is going to hold them back for a long time. But yet again, we see them defending a wall as opposed to pushing. So they've got to look for a pick whenever they can get it as soon as they get to 20, or some advantage that's going to give them an edge or force Fraud Esports into a choice that they don't want to make.
And looking at the level 20 talents for Fraud, we actually have Nexus Frenzy for both Tychus and Vala, so feeling very comfortable in taking that. It's really just going to increase their attack speed and range, of course, which is going to make them throw out more and more attacks, deal more damage. We've got Storm Shield for Malfurion, Redemption, of course, for Uther, because it's Resurgence of the Uther, and then Hardened Shield is such a good talent for ETC, so of course taking that. And there is going to be the first tribute following the curse, and Lzuruha has just grabbed their level 20 talents. They're a little bit out of position for this. Fraud has already set up, but if they chose not to go into this, it wouldn't be bad, because Fraud, they only have one right now.
Right. And it looks like they may not be going for that tribute at all. They don't care. As long as it's not going to result in a curse, they're fine. They'd rather not risk being picked off once more. Also, I want to mention this Zagara creep spread is all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really just doing her best considering the fact that they've got people constantly trying to get rid of it, but that's really helped provide them a lot of vision to at least avoid the team when they don't have the talent tiers. But now they'll all be tied up. They've grabbed 3 Blinks and 2 Storm Shields, so they really know that they need to stay in position and just have sustainability, and I really like those picks there. That's pretty crazy.
It looks like they really are hoping to get a favorable engagement up here. And Bella Morte putting on the Odin, being ready to engage, saying, all right, you want to do this? Put up your dukes.
Yeah, Keeper's actually kind of stage dove into nothing. And that's going to be right where the tribute spawns as well. Now Keepers is blocked out by the mod, does get Divine Shielded, so will stay alive a little bit longer, but in the midst of this, the boss has been pulled, and now he's dealing a lot of damage to Lzuruha. Oh no! They had such a great start to the engagement, but the stun, the slam for it dealt so much damage, and everybody in Lzuruha is just running for their lives. Oh no!
Oh my goodness. After that Ancestral on Diablo, I thought, oh man, this is it. This is what Lzuruha wanted. This is the engagement where they're going to really take charge. But that boss wipes them out with one sad swipe of his ghoulish hand.
Yeah, man. That was rough, and on top of it, that insult to injury. Fraud's just going to pick it up. They've got the curse now. They will waste some of, not waste, but take some of the curse time to pick up this boss, though. They do have ETC down, so they can't be overly aggressive into stuff as much as possible, especially where all the heroes are there. They're maybe going to go after Spurbeck here. They've caught him with the roots, and he's going to be able to get away. They just want to try to get lanes to push wherever Lzuruha is not defending. Look, there's minions basically on every keep or right about to, especially with Golem, of course, pushing on top. And Lzuruha is going to have to play the defense game so much right now.
Yeah, falling back to take their boss and probably their bruisers after that. Fraud Esports is saying, okay, we have breathing room. We've got a curse going on. We're going to take advantage of that breathing room and make sure everything is pushing on full cylinders because we want to keep you back in your base on the defensive so we can continue to whittle away at you.
Yeah, really playing this game well, knowing what their opponent's team comp means, what they're going to be trying to do, and keeping very aggressive in having things pushing versus them. They're even going to go up and try to take these giants on the side that the Golem will be pushing. Everybody is up for Lzuruha. They may try to come in here. They're choosing not to. They know that'd be kind of risky place to try to engage into, and they just don't want to do it. And we'll have to see if Fraud will continue to try to push with this Golem to ensure... Oh, actually, it's going to be able to pick up the keep all on its own. The keep is very low. Will they push in, though, to try to get into the core? Odin's going down, so it looks like they want to be aggressive here.
Absolutely they do, and they are already pushing onto the core. Keepers joining the Golem there and trying to zone away for the Golem to keep it alive as long as possible, to do as much damage as possible. Ma not going to grab anybody, but Fraud Esports still looking very healthy even after this apocalypse goes down.
Yeah, that will definitely be game. They knew that they could do it with their sustainability. They threw a ton of damage on there, and even if Lzuruha decided to try to attack them versus the golem, it just meant that the golem had free reign to attack that core, and it did. That's what golems do.
Yeah, interesting to think about what Lzuruha could have done to turn the tides in that game, because they absolutely did need to defend, but their strength, like we talked about, was in pushing. So almost they needed to have a stronger early game. Although, it didn't look like they had a weak early game at all. Fraud Esports was on the back foot in terms of not getting the first 2 tributes. So I think in terms of what they could have done to come back, Gilly, would it have been more favorable engagements, do you think? Or would it have been doing a little bit more backdooring type of strategies?
I don't know. There were a couple of Maws that didn't quite find, taking out a whole bunch of members of the team. And I think they were really trying to bank on the idea of mawing into the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. So that didn't quite play out the way they wanted, which is totally understandable and a cool strategy to try to do on this map, especially where we saw, like with the Tychus, where they tried to catch him with the apocalypse. Because they're stuck in those corridors, you want to apocalypse where people have to walk over it, and they weren't quite able to do that, but that was really thanks to awesome divine shielding and cleanses as much as missing, really. So great plays there by Fraud. I've just lost Anna and I'm really sad. No, Anna. All right, guys, we're gonna just oh no, you see Skype. I apologize. We're gonna be right back. Hopefully back with Anna. Technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Goodbye.